Hello everyone, this is Michael, and today we are concluding our four-part series on the band Rush. Rush, of course, is the legendary trio from Toronto, Canada that emerged in the early 70s and forged a rock and roll Hall of Fame career with hard rock, progressive rock, you name it rock. They pretty much covered just about any area you could think of in their 4 decades of creating music. Previously on parts 1 and 2, we reviewed the band's studio catalog, and you can see the scores we give that over there on the chart. The most notable thing to me is this run from 1974 in their debut album to the 1985 album Power Windows. That's 12 studio albums in an 11-year period. All ranking at least 72, which is very good. 5 albums that rank 90 or higher, which means they're true classics, and 8 albums that rank 80 or higher, which are outstanding. This is, in my opinion, an unparalleled run of high quality, consistently good music, and the Rush catalog from that period is just unassailable in my opinion. Part 2, we looked at the albums from 1987, Hold Your Fire, to their final studio release, 2012's Clockwork Angels. We can see the scores are not quite as high, but there's still a lot of good music on those albums. Part 3 of our series looked at the band's live catalog, starting with their 4 audio CD releases, All the World's a Stage, Exit Stage Left, A Show of Hands, and Different Stages, all of which I give high grades as well. That part 3 also reviewed the band's video career, their live concert DVDs, and we're really blessed to have this many live DVDs by them. I looked it up, and I think we have 21.5 hours of music when you combine all these concerts together, so we're really quite blessed to have that. And you can see that all of these are high quality as well. There's really not any real dogs in the band's catalog. Maybe Test for Echo. Anyway, today we are doing part 4, where we're going to look at 12 or 13 box sets that I own. You can see the box sets listed here. There we go. The first, we're going to group these. So the first set here are the compilation box sets, starting with the Sectors set, Sectors 1, 2, and 3. We'll also look at the studio albums from 1987 to 2007. Then we're going to look at various DVD box sets, RushInRio, ReplayX3, RushInRio, R30, and the R40 DVD box set. And then finally, we're going to look at 5 of their 40th anniversary sets that I own. I own the CD versions of these 40th anniversary sets, not the super deluxe editions with all the frills and everything. And in each case, I'm going to review both the contents and the packaging. So let's start with Sectors number 1. You can see I give it a 60 out of a 100, which means that it's good, but doesn't particularly add anything noteworthy, and that's probably my issue. All of these Sectors box sets are pretty much the same in what they look like and the packaging and what they contain, at least from a format perspective. So let's start by looking at the packaging. Okay, so we are currently looking at the 3 Rush Sector box sets, which consist of Sectors 1, 2, and 3, and we get each one of these separately. And I'm going to talk about the packaging here, and I'm going to talk about it from 2 perspectives. I'm going to talk about exterior packaging and then interior packaging. The exterior packaging is really quite well done. As you can see, the 3 different sets come together and would sit on any shelf nicely, and you can see that on top you get the iconic Rush Starman logo, and on the sides you get each one of the boxes, and you get a picture of each member of the group with Alex, Getty, and Neil. And I'm only going to look at one of these in detail because they're all three the same once you open them inside. And like I say, the exterior packaging is really quite well done. It's got a double box setup. So the exterior box, which we can look at here, and it's really quite sturdy. You can hear it's got sound to it, and if you try to flex it, you can, but it's really not all that flexible because it's really a sturdy container, if you will. And that's really quite important for these box sets because if you handle them a lot, they can start to deteriorate and get blemishes or tears or whatever you want to call about it. So the second part of the exterior packaging is the interior second box. So like I said, it's got a kind of a two-box approach. And because of that, the fact that it's sturdy and holds them and it's easy to get access to the contents inside, I really like the exterior packaging that comes with these sector box sets. So now let's switch to talking about, I want to compare, for example, here's an example of another box set that doesn't use a double, it's just got one box, and I actually like this quite a bit. It's got a lid that opens and you can access each of the individual cardboard LPs in here. Here's the issue is that I've had this box set for a while and it's in good shape. I'm not complaining about it, but you can see in detail, you can see where the hinge has been used a lot. You're starting to get a tear. This happens on both sides. And I have had some box sets where just what I would call routine usage ends up with the box sort of degrading and you know, suffering blemishes or whatever you want to call that. So I do appreciate the quality of this exterior double box approach that these sector box sets have. Now let's talk about the interior packaging, which I'm not nearly as favorable of. So each of these contains each sector box set contains the same content, which is 4 studio albums, a live album, and then one booklet that comes inside. And we're going to talk about the booklet in a little bit because I have some strong opinions on that. But let's first talk about the contents of these LP holders. So what you get are each one of the LPs in essentially a replica of the LP that originally came out, the 12-inch LP that would have come in a cardboard container. So these are identical for the most part to what you would have purchased if you had purchased a 12-inch vinyl back in the day. And I'm not a huge fan of that. And here's the reason why. A 12-inch by 12-inch cardboard vinyl cover is the kind of thing you can open up like a book and read. Now, I'll say this looks nice, and then the back has the exact cover that you would have, back cover that you would have seen on the vinyl LP. And it does have a gatefold, so you can open it up and see what's inside. And we get, again, the Starman logo. We get the original pictures that were included on the original album cover with Alex's notorious hat. And then we get the lyrics, which this is my real issue with replicating LP covers on the CD format, which is the size. This is just so small that I'm never going to sit here and try and read the lyrics here. And if it had anything else, I wasn't going to really do that. And of course, pictures are nice, but the smaller they get, the less value they have. And I am just not a huge fan of replicating original LP artwork on CD size covers like this. And for a, you know, kind of deluxe box set kind of packaging, this is uninspiring to me. It's not very engaging. The only one of these, I'll give you another example of where I find it really kind of, you know, just uninspired, is this is the Caress of Steel. You have back cover, and then you open it up. I mean, you couldn't read these lyrics if you tried. Even if you had a one of those magnifying glasses, I think it would still be extremely difficult. And even the pictures are relatively small, so that they, you know, low I forget the word I'm looking for there. I will give credit for this. All the World's a Stage, I mentioned on the reviews, my ratings of Rush's live releases, that I just obsessed over this album when it came out. I listened to it a lot. And I also looked at the album cover a lot. And this had a triple gatefold album cover, which is really cool. You can see in the original vinyl version, you would have had an LP here and an LP here. But I just loved all these pictures. It's a really simple approach. Nothing but live shots, except for this one. I don't know why they added that one non-live shot. But I really enjoyed this as a kid. I would look at it a lot and just desired to go to a Rush live show as a result of this. And then listening to it and the combination of the images. And it's kind of cool to be able to experience that again. But again, credits, song list, illegible. You can't read this stuff. And so from an engagement perspective, I'm not going to get very engaged with any of these LP covers, these replica covers, because they're just too small. The contents are just too small. So now then, let's talk about the booklet. And I am deeply disappointed. I don't know deeply, but it's again, what I consider to be an uninspired and rather lazy effort. And I'm going to tell you why. There's two primary reasons. One is the low quality of the booklet. This is cheap. It does have quite a few pages, but I'm trying to get to the middle of this. I will say this. I love this picture, and I don't remember seeing this picture anywhere, so I think this picture is new content, which is good. But if you can see here, I think you can see, there are staples. This is the middle of the book, and you can see that it's simply stapled together. So you have a bunch of pieces of paper and two staples holding them together. So when you look at the spine, you can actually bend the spine back and forth. And I'm going to show you another booklet in a minute where they use a different approach that's higher quality, and it makes for a better booklet. The second objection I have to the booklet is the contents themselves. The contents here are what largely you would have seen on the inside sleeve of the LP. Here we're getting a song list and credits, and then you get the occasional picture. This picture was included in the original sleeve of the Rush LP. Cover, credits, again a picture that was inside the sleeve of Fly By Night, Crest of Steel, and then we get a song list and we get lyrics. And then we get pictures that have been used many times in Rush materials over the years. These are not new pictures that we haven't seen, except for this one. I think this might be. Again, just song list, credits, and lyrics each time. I guess if you were a brand new Rush fan, the lyrics and these contents here might have some value. But for a longtime fan like me, there's zero reason for me to ever come back to this booklet and look at it. I know the names of the songs. I know the lyrics. I don't need to. There's nothing here that is new content that engages me. So let's compare this to an alternative. Now this is the Pat Benatar 3 CD box set called Synchronistic Wanderings. Couple things here. One is it has kind of a same approach. It's got an outer book and then the interior comes. Now here you can see how flexible this is compared to the outer Rush box set. This is much cheaper, flimsier. So that's why I give the Rush outer box set props. Compare, though, the booklet that's found in the Pat Benatar set. First of all, you can see I cannot bend the ends of this. And the reason is that this is using what in the publishing world, the magazine publishing world, is known as perfect bound. All of these pages are glued together at this spine. And it creates a firm, sturdy, durable feeling to the booklet. And so as a result, it just feels higher quality than the book we get here. Second, the content. This is all original content. Now, some of these pictures are recycled. They've been seen before, but you can see this is laid out in an original manner. There's never been anything else where you could see all this content laid out in this manner. In addition, the words that you see here are newly written, and they have an extensive content talking about the origination of the band and how they got together, and Pat Benatar and Neil Girardo's relationship and how the band evolved and the pressures from record companies, etc. And then we get to the part that I really like, and you can see there's just a ton of content here. Every song that is on this 3D set, they have comments on each one. So this is song number 1, Heartbreaker, song number 5, In the Heat of the Night, and on and on and on. Every single song that appears on this 3D set, you have comments on. And this is highly engaging, especially for someone like me who didn't know about half or maybe 2/3 of these songs by Pat Benatar. After I got to know the songs, or even before, I would go back and read about them. And so I've engaged with this book a ton over the years that I've had this box set, and I learned a lot of things about Pat Benatar that I didn't know, compared to this, which didn't tell me one thing that I didn't already know, and I have zero reason to go back and engage with it. So in summary on the packaging, grade A in terms of the exterior packaging, but on the interior I give it a very low grade, like a D. There's just nothing compelling about any of the content in either the LP covers or the little booklet. So those are my feelings on the packaging. Some good, some not quite as good. Let's look at the overall score for the first sector set. You can see, like I say, the packaging is a mixed bag. I give it a 60. Primary content, I give an 80. So I need to talk about the content of each one of these sector sets. What you get are 6 discs in each set. They contain 4 studio albums. Sector 1 is the first 4 studio albums, consisting of Rush, Fly By Night, Caress of Steel, and 2112. Then the band always would release a live album after 4 albums. They did after their 4th album, their 8th album, and their 12th album, and that's what these sector sets cover. So Sector 1 is the first 4 studio albums, then the live album, All the World's a Stage, which we covered in the packaging, and then you get a surround sound DVD of one of the discs. In the case of Sector 1, we get Fly By Night. So in total, you get 6 discs. And the thing is, all of these albums are great, okay? We saw the scores when we reviewed what we covered in the first part of this series. All, 72s, between 72 and 96, I think, all of these studio albums rank, and even the live albums are well regarded. My issue with the contents is that it's mixing what a new casual Rush fan would want with what a hardcore Rush fan would want. As a hardcore Rush fan, what I want out of this set is that surround sound DVD. I already own all of the studio albums. I already own all of the live the live albums as well. So not 1 second of music on this set is new to me. The only thing that's new and different is that surround sound CD for Fly By Night. I would have much preferred to get a box set of 4 surround sound DVDs for each of the first 4 albums in these sector sets. If you gave me Sector 1 with the first 4 albums in surround sound, and Sector 2 with the next 4, and Sector 3 with the I would have liked that more than these sets. But this is kind of what these record companies do, especially since Rush has turned over their rights. They're no longer determining how their products are packaged. It's the companies that own the rights to these products. And this is a cynical grab, in my opinion, where they know that by putting the surround sound DVD in, they'll get hardcore fans like me, and then they fill it out with a bunch of other stuff that we already own that doesn't add much value, and then they charge a premium package for it, and us Rush fans are somewhat gullible for this stuff, and we fall for it. So while the content isn't 80, in my opinion, it could be much higher. The bonus content is only the surround sound DVD. That's the only thing that's a bonus, and I've given my thoughts on that. So that's why the total score is a 60. So it's not terrible. If you're a new Rush fan, it's probably a good deal. But for a hardcore Rush fan, I don't think there's a ton of value in this. And we can say the same thing about all these sector sets. So Sector 2, we can see the packaging, I give the same score. The primary content, I give the same score. The bonus content, I give the same score. And thus, we get a total same score. In the case of Sector 2, the surround sound DVD is A Farewell to Kings. So that's cool. You get Cygnus X and Xanadu and A Farewell to Kings and Closer to the Heart and Madrigal all in surround sound. That's pretty cool. Still you're not getting Hemispheres, you're not getting PermanentWaves, you're not getting MovingPictures, and that's a little bit disappointing. So that's why it has the exact same score as Sector 1. And then we get to Sector 3, has a slightly lower score of 53, and here's the reasoning. The packaging is identical, so it still gets a 60, but the primary content is that the 4 albums that made up this group, which is Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, and Hold Your Fire, are not quite of the same caliber as what we found in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So it gets a slightly lower score from a primary content. Bonus content's the same, and so in aggregate, we get only a score of 53 as opposed to 60 for the first 2 Sector box sets. Again, for a new fan, I think the Sector sets, if you don't own any of the CDs and you want to start exploring the band, a Sector box set is a fine deal. But for hardcore fans, I think it's kind of, you're not getting all that much value. All right, let's move on to our next, which is the studio albums from 1989 to 2007, which I give a low grade. In thinking about this, I think I've been too harsh on this set. For those that don't know, let's take a look at the packaging first. Okay, we are looking at the Rush box set, the studio albums 1989 to 2007. And this is a fairly bare bones packaging. And it's designed to be that way, so I don't really have much of a problem with it. What we get is a foldable box. You can see it simply opens up like that. And then within we have, and the box it's not flimsy, it's not super sturdy like we saw with the Sector box sets with the double box, but this is sturdy enough. I don't have any issue with that. The contents inside are, again, bare bones. We have single cardboard containers, LP covers that replicate the original LP covers. All of these none of them are gatefold. I don't think so. No. So these are all pretty much the same. Simple, no frills, nothing added beyond what appeared on the original CD or LP covers. And then it comes with, again, a book that is pretty much like we saw with Sectors, which is a fairly cheap, low budget effort. You can see again, let me see if I can find the middle here. Again, we have the staples, and the contents are the same. I mean, it's just white pages with lyrics. That's all it is. So again, not very engaging for me. Now, I don't really have a problem with this because this is not designed to be a deluxe sort of box set. This is designed to provide access to all of the music of this period. And this is a standard approach used on many of these lengthy career or, career spanning box sets or near career spanning box sets. This is a packaging approach that you'll find with this one, Cheap Trick, same thing. Kansas, same thing. Come on now. Cheap, low budget books, simple cardboard covers that replicate the albums. I've got at least a dozen of these. UFO, Blue Oyster Cult, Judas Priest. In many cases, I would recommend almost all of these as quality worthy buys because the focus is on the music and not the packaging. This is not designed to be a super deluxe packaged offering, and so it's fairly bare bones, but I don't have a problem with that. Okay, so you can see from the packaging for this set that it's really a no frills set, and as such, I think it does what its purpose is, which is to provide all those albums from Hold Your Fire through Snakes and Arrows in a compact, relatively affordable package. And for those purposes, it does what it's trying to do, and it probably deserves something more like a grade of 70. The packaging is fairly bare bones, but there are lots of sets like that, as I showed. So I think I was a little bit harsh on this. The packaging is 60, it is what it is, but the primary content I gave a 20 because there is no, the albums are not as good as the early point, but a 20 is really low. I should give it more like a 60 in my opinion. I don't really know what I was thinking. So if we added all that up, rather than a 40 total score, it says bonus content there, but it should really say total score. I think it should probably be more like a 60, so I feel like I was a bit harsh on this particular set. I think if I had an opportunity to go back, I'd change that and give it about the same score as Sector 1 and Sector 2. So let's go on to Part 3, or next. Now we're transitioning into various DVD sets. All of these are multi-disc sets. The first one we're going to look at is Replay 3. Replay 3 is actually a 4-disc set. It consists of about an hour-long snippet from 3 different concerts recorded in 1981 on the Exit Stage Left tour, 1984 on the Grace Under Pressure tour, and 1989 on the 1988 or 89 on 88 it must have been on the a show of Hold Your Fire tour. And in addition to that, they give you a CD of the Grace Under Pressure show. Let's get into the packaging for this particular set. All right, here we are looking at the packaging for the 3 DVD box set Rush Replay 3, and I'm a big fan of this entire package. So let's get into it. Similar to what we've seen with, so first of all, this is in a DVD size, standard DVD size box. It has, similar to what we've seen before, an outer cardboard shell. Not as sturdy as what we saw on Rush Sectors, but this book right here, when you combine it with the cover, it feels quite substantial and has a good solid feeling in your hands. A lot of this is due because we've got a 4-panel DVD set here. And what do I mean by 4 panels? So we can open this up, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, and panel 4, which is kind of hard to see. The 2 interior panels contain the 3 DVDs and the bonus live CD. But for me, the real jewels here are the 3 booklets that are included, and we're going to look at these in detail. So again, the packaging here of this feels really good. It looks good. They make use of the artwork in kind of not you know, it looks like a typical Rush kind of artwork effort. Here's what I really love about these are replicas of the tour books that were available at the original concert associated with each one of these live DVDs. So for example, this here is a replica of the tour book for MovingPictures, and these are identical to what you would have found in the actual tour books that were sold at the concerts. And I know this for fact because I have the original MovingPictures tour book, and everything that you just saw is contained in this as well. It's an identical package. Now, it's not as big, obviously, but I don't have a problem or an issue with downsizing this to the DVD size format. The words are legible. They're a little small, but you can read them. The pictures are quality enough, and the fact that you combine all 3, so you get the MovingPictures tour book, you get the Grace Under Pressure tour book, and you get the Hold Your Fire tour book. That was a lot of the a show of hands show, and tons of stuff to read. A lot of people would not have had the tour books already. I know you can buy them online, but putting all 3 of them together in a package that also contains the 3 DVDs and a bonus CD, I think that's a pretty good quality package right there. I really think this is a well done package, the Rush Replay 3. So as you can see, I'm a big fan of the set and the way it's packaged. So that gets a score of 80. The primary content is just unassailable in my opinion. These are, like I say, you get an hour from the Exit Stage Left show. This was recorded in Montreal, which is the same show that made up a good portion of the Exit Stage Left audio release. It's not an entire show, it's only about an hour, but every song is a complete banger. It's Rush at their highest, playing, you know, at the peak of their career, both commercially and creatively and critically. When they were touring MovingPictures, the entire set list is just one classic Rush song after another. It's great seeing the band when they were young. They'd been around less than 10 years at this point. The Exit Stage Left show is must-have for any serious Rush fan. After that, we get Grace Under Pressure, which is obviously from the Grace Under Pressure tour. This was recorded in, I think Toronto. Check my notes real quick. I think it's in Toronto. Might be New York. Anyway, it's again about an hour long. The set list is largely songs from Signals, Grace Under Pressure, and MovingPictures. You don't get a drum solo or a medley. The video is a little odd, and it has some fast edits like were very common in the 80s, and so I'm not as big a fan of that. But again, it's Rush touring Grace Under Pressure. They're still pretty young, and is just great in my opinion. And finally, we get a Show of Hands, which is about an hour and 30 minutes, and it does include a Neil Peart drum solo, although an abbreviated one, and it does include a medley. So you're getting about 3/4 of a 2-hour show, I believe, at this point, and it feels like you're watching a concert, and that makes it feel better, more like a concert than the previous ones, which, because they're only an hour long, don't feel like it. You don't even see the intro. You don't see anyway. So you add all this up, the packaging, the primary content, and the fact that this stuff is just so good, and I am a big fan of Rush Replay 3. I think if you're a Rush fan, you must own this. Next up is the 2 DVD release, Rush in Rio. This was released in 2001 after the band's Vapor Trails tour, and it covers an entire concert from Rio de Janeiro that was recorded on the last date of the band's Vapor Trails tour. Let's take a look at the packaging. Okay, we are looking at the package for the Rush in Rio 2 DVD set, and this is nothing spectacular. It's not a super deluxe type packaging, but I think it's quite good. We have they could have just made a standard DVD package, but instead they give you the. This one is tight. They give you, similar to what we've seen before, an outer shell that's made of cardboard. Original artwork is impressive. I love the artwork for the Rush in Rio album and DVD. And then inside you have, similar to what we saw with Replay 3, but only 3 panels. So now we've got 3 panels, and you also get a booklet with it. And they didn't have to put the booklet in, and they didn't have to include this panel, and they didn't have to include the outer shell. They could have gone without any of those, and that's why I give this a fairly high grade. I love the artwork, and then inside we get some original content. This is not the tour book from Vapor Trails. This is a book unique to the Rush in Rio DVD. Tells you your contents. Then you get some fairly lengthy written words from Neil, telling the story of, you know, the challenges they had recording the show, and the excitement and energy of the fans that's notorious for this live DVD. It's nothing special, but adding these simple contents and making the box a quality box with the additional 3rd panel and the outer cardboard shell, I think that makes good quality packaging right here. All right, so as you can see, I am a big fan of the packaging of this set as well. The primary content, I also give a high grade of 80, and the bonus content a 60, so we get a total score of 73. The primary content, the RushInRio DVD, is a terrific example of how an audience can inspire the band as much as the band can inspire the audience, because the audience is the star of the show here. They are on fire. I mean on fire from beginning to end, and there's 40,000 of them. I think I mentioned this in my live music review that this was the second largest show that Rush had played to ever at that point, and it was smaller only than the previous night when they played in, I can't remember, Sao Paulo, when they played, I believe, in front of 65,000 fans. They did not have an opportunity to do a sound check, and the video crew did not have an opportunity to test a lot of things, so they were kind of winging it, and they did have some issues that you can't really tell unless you know and read the documents about them. It had rained earlier in the day, so you had a wet crowd, and it didn't deter them or dampen their spirits at all. It's a full 2 hour and 40-minute show. You get everything that you get in a typical Rush show. They've got, songs covering the entire band's catalog. You get a full Neil Peart drum solo called O Baterista. The bonus content consists of a 1 hour documentary on their trip in Brazil and some of the challenges they face. It's not like a really full-blown documentary where somebody spent weeks and months following the band, recording, talking to people. It was obviously recorded in a very short period of time, and it's nice, but it's not something I would watch a whole lot. They do have some bonuses, such as they have multi-angle shots of 3 of the songs, including the drum solo. There's some Easter eggs, like you can pull up the cartoon video that was played on the screen during By-Tour and the Snow Dog. The best thing is you get this live video of Rush playing on a 1978 TV show and singing and playing this, or 1975 TV show playing the song Anthem. They look so young and are in total prove it mode, and that is awesome. So I really like that from a bonus content. Might give that bonus content an 80. It's between a 60 and 80, but overall, again, I'm a big fan of RushInRio, so that's why we give it a 73. You can see it's not as good as Replay 3, probably because Replay 3 has 3.5 hours of music, and pretty much every single song is awesome, whereas the RushInRio DVD does have some songs, especially the Vapor Trail songs, I'm not a fan of. And Geddy is older now and cannot sing the songs as well as he could back in his prime, so that's why it gets a lower grade. Alright, let's move on to R30, and you can see I give this an 83, so let's start by looking at the packaging. Alright, here we are looking at the R30 DVD box set. Looking at packaging, and it's pretty much identical to the RushInRio and the R30 packaging with just a couple caveats. Again, we get the same approach with the outer shell, and this one's also hard to get out. Alright, not a big deal. Alright, so we get the outer shell, and man, I guess DVD 1 is that entire show. It's not actually the entire show. I learned in my research for this, it's not the entire show, but a lengthy set list, and then the enormous amount of bonus content on the second DVD, which I really like. And then we have the same 4-panel approach that we saw with RushInRio. We have the 2 panels on the inside, which are the main DVD and then the bonus DVD. On the left, we have 2 guitar picks. Now, I am not a fan of doodads being included in box sets. To me, they're just filler for the most part, and I rarely find any value in them. But actual guitar picks with the R30 logo on the back, and in this case, Geddy Lee's signature on one and Alex Lifeson's on the other. This is a great touch. I think that's the kind of doodad that adds a significant amount of value. I don't know about significant, but it's a nice touch. On the fourth panel, we get the, this is another doodad, but again, a pretty cool one, which is a all areas access pass. You know, I'm sure it's useful now. And then we have the CD portions, which they call disc 3 and 4 of this box set here in this package. And so in its entirety, it's really quite good. We do get a booklet. It's similar to the RushInRio booklet, except we just get pictures, and they're recycled pictures from throughout the band's career. You'll see a lot of pictures in here that we saw on the Sectors box set. We saw this picture, we saw that picture, we saw this one. So that one that is in the middle of the booklet on the Sectors box set is now here. We've seen that one many, many times. So the book consists of nothing but recycled pictures that have been, you know, in Rush products for many years. And that's not a bad deal for this one. I just wish that, like in the RushInRio book, we would have gotten some written material. I do think this is pretty cool, which is just a list of all their albums up through that point, which is 7 rows, 4 across, so 28 releases. And while there are a couple of compilations here, for the most part, these are either original LPs, studio LPs, or live versions. I do want to put out Archives, which is an underrated collection. This was a 3 LP set that came out in the late 70s, and it was just the first 3 albums packaged into a into a triple gatefold album cover, and that's how I discovered the first 3 albums. And I think they should release that as a CD now today. But anyway, that's what I think. Again, when you put it all together, it feels very, I like the artwork here too, where you kind of got, it looks like an art gallery looking at various art pieces from the band's career. R30 was, of course, supposed to be a sort of retrospective. And again, when you put it all together, it feels very solid, very complete. So again, I think this is a well-done package. All right, so again, you see I am a big fan of the packaging of R30. I give that a 90, probably my highest that I've given any box set that I've seen in terms of packaging. The primary content here is most of a show recorded in Germany on the Feedback tour. Unlike RushInRio, the band, I mean, the audience is not the star of the show, the band is. The audience is largely polite, and they clap when the song is over. But the visuals on this are superb and superior to what you have in RushInRio. It looks like a modern-day DVD. RushInRio, it was recorded in 2003, but I feel like the visuals are not as high quality as you would expect. Here, they're spectacular, and it really makes you feel like, if you play this on a big TV with a surround sound, it really makes you feel like you're there at the show. In terms of bonus content, man, this thing is a tour de force. I had to take a lot of notes here. So first of all, it's not a complete show. The primary content is not a complete show. And yet it's still, I think, it's 2+ hours, and I believe 21 songs, 22. They left like 8 songs off because those songs were duplicated on RushInRio, and they didn't want to the band didn't want to put a DVD out with duplicate songs that they just put out on a previous DVD. I think most fans would have been happy with that. I would have, and had a complete show. They don't, the missing songs don't detract overall though, because you get key thing, and the most important, most noteworthy song in the primary content is Der Trommler, Neil Peart's drum solo. It's about 8 minutes long. this is the drum solo that you see on YouTube videos where everybody's reacting to, and it is a absolute tour de force. Of course, Neil is technically on fire because he always is, but this one, in my opinion, combines everything that he's ever done in drum solos in spectacular fashion. It is a well-composed drum solo. It has an introduction. It has various parts that transition from one to the other to the other. It has a build-up and a climax at the end, and it's only then that he introduces all his electronic digital triggers and the pre-recorded stuff, and it kind of, you know, crescendo into a climax and an end, and it's just done beautifully. It's spectacular. You get a really nice medley on this one. It's a great 2-hour show, but the bonus content is really amazing. First of all, you get nearly an hour of what I call live studio recordings. This is the band playing their songs live. They're not lip syncing. They're actually playing their songs and recorded. So, like, they have a version of Xanadu on here, and if you listen to that version of Xanadu, it is different than any other version of Xanadu. And it's an odd thing, but it's the band performing live in an empty television studio. What you get that's great is Geddy in full kimono mode and also wearing cowboy boots, because when you wear a kimono, why don't you also wear cowboy boots? But you get an hour of videos like this. A lot of them recorded. You have A Farewell to Kings. You have Xanadu, Circumstances, I think Trees. I'm not sure. We also get a video from many years later of the band performing Closer to the Heart in a recording studio with Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys fame. If you're not familiar with the show Trailer Park Boys, I urge you to look it up and familiarize yourself with it because it's absolutely hysterical. We get a series of short interviews, mostly with Geddy from the mid-70s, mid-80s. We have a couple of low-quality videos. I think they're MPEG videos of Rush performing on Don Kirshner's rock concert in the early 70s. And you add all that up, and it's 2 hours of bonus material, and most of it is just, for a hardcore Rush fan, it is pure gold. It's exactly the kind of content that hardcore fans look for in these type of packages. Things that we can't get other places. Things that you didn't have access to previously. I am a big fan of this R30 set, and it's another one that I think if you're a Rush fan is a must-have. Moving on, we are going to get to R40. R40 is the granddaddy of Rush DVD box sets. This contains 10 DVD discs in total. It is all of the band's live DVDs from RushInRio forward. So you get RushInRio, recorded in 2001. You get R30, recorded in 2003, 2005, I forget. You get Snakes and Arrows, the live DVD Snakes and Arrows. You get the live DVD Time Machine, and you get the live DVD A Clockwork Angels. So 5 shows, complete shows in total. Is that right? I feel like I'm giving one too. So we have RushInRio, R30, Snakes and Arrows, RushInRio, R30, Snakes and Arrows, Time Machine, and Clockwork Angels. Okay, yep. 10 discs in total. Let's take a look at the packaging because this is a big bad boy. Okay, we are looking at the R40 box set, and this is a granddaddy of a box set. This is a super deluxe package, and it's extremely heavy. It contains 10 different discs, or 10 DVD discs in it. 10 or 12, I forget. Very heavy. Original artwork front and back. It sits on a shelf just like a book. It's so big I can't even really show it to you. Very sturdy. You can see right here it's got a seam in it so that it bends properly. You can see how right there if you don't have that seam, it doesn't quite bend properly. And so that's a nice touch. And I'm going to go through every page here because I think that they're worth going through and it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time. I love this picture, the collage of all the ticket stubs from various shows. We get the 2112 kind of grid. This is one complaint I have, is that this is a super deluxe box set, and by the way, the paper quality of this is really, really well done. This is good, sturdy stock paper, and so it feels high quality. It doesn't feel cheap in any way. But we just had the cover here. So why are we going to use one of these rare pieces of paper where we can do anything to essentially show the same cover? And then we turn the page and we get just red. And then we get Rush R40 over here. So I feel like, you know, if we're essentially paying for a lot of these content here. And I feel like, you know, really just red? You couldn't find anything better to put on? You couldn't find anything better than this? Now here we get the contents and a little bit of written material from Martin Popoff, who is a British journalist, music journalist. But this is all the written words that appear here, and that's a bit of a disappointment to me. I would have liked to have seen some more written content. Now beyond that, we get nothing but pictures moving forward. They segment these pictures into each of the DVD sets that are contained within this comprehensive box set. So this one is focusing on RushInRio. Again, just a black page. I don't find that very compelling, but I love these pictures. Neil sitting in, I believe this is one of the Brazilian stadiums before they played before Norte. He just looks, you know, isolated and very Neil there, reading and contemplative, and you know, I love the pictures of them in concert. I'm never going to get tired of these. Some better than others. Love crowd shots. Look at that. That's just beautiful. Now we switch to the R30 set. Good picture of Alex there. I like it a lot. You know, I'm a big fan of these live pictures. This is from Red Rocks outside Denver, one of the coolest places you can possibly see a show. That looks fabulous. You know, these pictures are all really great. Snakes and arrows. Black and white pictures I'm not a huge fan of. I get them. And here's another complaint. We've got limited number of pages because these are high quality paper and we're putting it in this expensive package. I don't need pictures of the road crew. There's nothing of interest to me here. Same thing here. I don't find any of this interesting. I wish they would have included more pictures of the band. Again, just a black, like, why don't you incorporate the Time Machine artwork into this page right here? Love the picture of Alex. Another crowd shot, which I don't really ever get tired of. I think they're cool. All these live shots, great, 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 great. I'm not a big fan of this. I know that that's part of what they were doing on this tour, and so they're capturing, and this is part of what you see on the DVD. This is beautiful. I mean, come on, man. That's awesome. Again, more of the kind of bonus content you found on this DVD. The Clockwork Angel show. I'm not a big fan of that, but I love these two pictures. I love just seeing all the guys happy. Although Alex looks like, I think he might have been the butt of the joke here because everybody else is laughing and he's kind of, love this picture of the I don't know what you call that, orchestra symphony that played with them on the show. Look at Neil's drum set, looks spectacular. I like you get the red stage. Again, this picture doesn't do much for me. Red. Pictures of their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame statues. Again, I don't get what we're doing here. We could have, this is expensive paper. It's part of an expensive package. Why are we just showing stuff like this? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Then we get switched out. The rest of this is housing all of the DVDs. So this portion is all the paper, and then this portion is housing all the DVDs. And one of the things you can see is this is relatively thick cardboard. Can you see how this is thinner, this is thicker, and this is really sturdy, and that makes for a good package to hold the actual DVDs. Now, two things I'm not a big fan of. It's hard to get these DVDs out. They gave you a little slot here, but to me, it would have made more sense to have the slot up here, because if you're trying to approach it, your natural thing is to have your thumb here and your finger up here. So you got to kind of do it like this, and I struggle to get the discs out every single time I try to do this. So I'm not, a lot of box sets struggle with housing the discs in a way that they're secure, they don't get damaged, and they're easily accessible, and this is an example of that. It's not a big deal, but you can see each one is kind of the same. You have the artwork on the left and then the discs on the right, and it's really, you know, when you add it all up, it's really an impressive package. So those are my thoughts on the R40 Super Deluxe box set packaging. Alright, so as you can see, this is just a massive box set. Let's get into the contents. I mentioned the packaging. The primary content here are 5 almost complete live shows. You get the RushInRio show, and you get the R30 show, which I've already reviewed. In addition to that, you get 3 additional shows: Snakes and Arrows, Time Machine, and A Clockwork Angels. All are complete shows bordering on 3 hours long of live presentations. I did not buy these originally as standalone DVDs because I thought, for 2 reasons. One, they were duplicative of what we'd already seen with RushInRio and with R30. If you were a big fan of Snakes and Arrows or A Clockwork Angels or those albums, then I could see why you like them, but I am not, so I didn't feel like they were offering a ton of new stuff that I wanted to hear. In addition, by the Snakes and Arrows tour, Geddy's voice is just not capable anymore, in my opinion. I know a lot of Rush fans will object to that and say that he's just fine. I think any objective listener would agree that the Geddy Lee vocalist of 2007 is a shell of what he could do in the 70s and 80s. All that aside, it's still, you know, like 12 or 13 hours of Rush live, and you know, they're always, the visuals are fantastic. It's modern, you know, recording with all that you expect from the well-produced, you know, digital cameras and multi-angles and all the editing that you have with modern day live DVDs. The real appeal to this box set to me, outside the packaging, is the bonus content. They have a single disc of bonus content, and there's so much to it that I have to go through it. Start out with a 40-minute set recorded at a high school, the Laura Secondary School, in 1974 or 1975. This is obviously this is pre-Neil Peart. This is John Rutsey on drums, and he's even the guy that takes the mic and talks to the audience. And the sound is crap, and the video is crap, but in terms of a historical document, this is pure gold. They're so young. They're totally unproven. They're playing for high schoolers in a high school auditorium. Absolutely, that's the kind of, you know, content you want as bonus content as a hardcore Rush fan. In addition to that, you get the 37-minute set from the Capitol Theater in New Jersey, recorded on the 1975-1976 2112 tour. This is black and white. This is when Rush was opening for other bands. It's not the highest quality of audio or video, but again, from a historical document, it's terrific. You get the bands playing 2112 right when it had just come out, and again, they're still in total prove-it mode as an opening band, and they haven't really this is right as they're taking off. And so again, as a historical document, absolutely brilliant. We get a 72-minute clip from a 1997 show in Toronto on the Test for Echo tour. The video and audio of this is really, really good quality for that time period. And while the set list is mostly mediocre with a number of songs from Test for Echo and counterparts that I'm not a huge fan of, you get a complete version of 2112. Test for Echo Tour was the only time that Rush performed 2112 in its entirety, from beginning to end with all the parts. And this is the only video document ever of Rush performing 2112 in its entirety. So for that reason alone, this show is a jewel in my opinion. We get the entire 15-minute rock and roll Hall of Fame presentation of the band Rush. This is superb. If you have never seen this, watch it. You will get emotional. From the very first, the video opens with the announcer, an unseen, unnamed announcer, going, "From Toronto," and the entire audience erupts. They go crazy, and you can see and realize this audience is made up of, legendary rock and roll musicians, legendary music bigwigs, all that. And you can see the guides are overwhelmed by the response of the audience. And I'm getting emotional just talking about it. They're looking around in awe at everybody, the outpouring of love and passion from all their, contemporaries and people that maybe hadn't spoken so well of them, Jan Wenner. And it was like this massive validation of everything that they did. Not that they needed it. Getty in his book talked about he was not looking forward to this at all, but that once it happened, he said it was really quite overwhelming to have all these legendary musicians come up and congratulating them. There to see them. You have Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins introducing the band with all the passion and love that those guys were known for. You get a video of those guys covering 2112, Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl and some third guy I don't know. And so in total, you get 2.5 hours of this bonus content, and all of it, every single part of it, is pure gold. It's exactly what a hardcore fan wants when they're getting bonus content in these expensive premium deluxe editions. So I'm a big fan of this set. All right, we're going to move on. You can do it. I know you can. There you go. We're going to transition now from these DVD box sets to the 40th anniversary box sets. Rush has released 6 40th anniversary sets: 2112, A Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, PermanentWaves, MovingPictures, and Signals. I own the CD version of all of these except for Signals. I have not purchased that. Let's talk and give my score on 2112. You can see it's a relatively, 67 is still, good. Nothing special, though. Let's look at the packaging because that's part of the reason why. Okay, here we are looking at the 40th anniversary editions of 5 Rush albums: 2112, A Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, PermanentWaves, and MovingPictures. These 40th anniversary editions were released in multiple formats. There was a super deluxe edition that often costs more than $200, and I'm just not into paying $200 for a single album, no matter how it's packaged. So I own the CD versions, which is what you're seeing right here, which are relatively affordable. The packaging on these is all pretty similar. There are a couple differences that we're going to get into. So let's look at first the first one, which is 2112. One thing I do like about these sets is there's all new artwork, all designed by Hugh Syme, who is obviously the artist who has done, I believe, all the artwork for all of Rush's albums since I think he started with Caress of Steel, maybe Fly By Night. And if you're hearing bangs in the background, I apologize. I meant to record this earlier today and didn't happen, and now I'm recording it at night on the 4th of July, and so you're hearing fireworks outside, so I apologize. We get a 4-panel gatefold here. We can see his first CD, second CD, and then the DVD that came with this 2112 set. So this is all pretty standard. I do like, again, the original photography we get here. This photograph may have shown up in other Rush materials, but I'm not familiar with it. I think it looks pretty cool. And then we have the ever-present booklet. And this is where these box sets are kind of interesting, in that they're not consistent in what is provided in these booklets. So here on the 2112 booklet, you get here's that picture again. You get, a couple pictures, but then an extremely lengthy written materials here. In fact, there are 30 pages worth of written materials here on 2112. Very extensive. And I really like that because essentially you are getting almost a small booklet worth of written material. Now, it's just on a white background. It's very simple. Now then after that, we don't get anything else. We get credits and one more picture. And we're going to see that that differs from what we get in the booklets in the other 40th editions. Now, this is similar to the booklets that we looked at earlier. It's stapled. It's not perfect bound, so it's a fairly low quality booklet. I don't mind that too much. I wish it was a better quality, but I like the fact that they have extensive written content so that you get a lot of material that you did not have previously. And again, so you combine the original artwork and the written content. So for 2112, you're getting that. What you're not getting that we're going to see exist in some of the other sets is artwork for each one of the individual songs. So let's look at our next one, which is A Farewell to Kings. Again, new original artwork on the cover, which I think is really pretty cool. I'm sorry about the shine there. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this stuff. This one is also a 4-panel. And same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4. You get, again, a picture when you fold it halfway. Pretty cool. And then we get the booklet, and this booklet has both some written content, not 30 pages worth. I believe we get about 10 pages worth. But again, a lot of written material here that is, adds context to the recording and of the album and what the band was going through at that time. So this is a lot of interesting material, and you can see there's a lot of pages of it. Not quite the 30 that we saw in 2112. They have discussions of the bonus content that occurs here, which is the famous Hammersmith Odeon concert from 1978, I believe. But here's what you do get. You get the lyrics with all new artwork for each song. So here we see Farewell to Kings. Here we got Xanadu, Closer to the Heart, Cinderella Man, and Madrigal. Look at that. That looks fabulous. And Cygnus X1, which I thought warranted 2 pages. Like, I would have thought Madrigal would have gotten a single page of artwork and Cygnus X would have gotten 2 pages, but that's me. So in this case, on A Farewell to Kings, you're getting both the extensive booklet and the all-new artwork for each individual song. So it differs from 2112 in that it added the individual artwork. My dog is scared by the... Come on, sit down. Sorry about that. My dog is scared by the fireworks and wants to come in and hang out with me. All right, here we have the Hemispheres. Now, Hemisphere only has 1 disc of bonus content, so it's only a 3-panel. And here, when we look at the booklet, it's much less significant than the other 2 that we saw. We do get the original artwork. But once we get in here, we do get, what is that, 2, 4, 6, 8 pages of written content. But we don't have the artwork for each individual song like we had with A Farewell to Kings. So it's just interesting to me how that looks really cool. That's the original cover. This is the original front cover. This is the original back cover. But because it was a gatefold, when you opened it, it would look like this. So, hey, I'm a bit confused by the fact that the booklet is changing with each release on what you're getting. Here we have the PermanentWaves. Again, original artwork. Again, looks pretty cool. This time we have a 3-panel, again, because only 1 disc of additional material. When we look at the booklet, all new artwork, pretty neat. But this time, 0 written content. There's not any written material. So the first 3 had lots of written material, although it was varied in length. But we do get the original artwork for each song. So this is The Spirit of Radio. Here we get Free Will, Jacob's Ladder, which is really spectacular. I'm a big fan of Jacob's Ladder, and I think it's a very vivid song. Like, the lyrics tell a very, even though there's not many lyrics, it tells a very vivid story, in my opinion. Entre Nous, Different Strings, and Natural Science. So again, it's just seems hit and miss on what is included in these booklets. So this one is much smaller because there's no written material for this one. And then finally, we have MovingPictures, which is a little bit different than the others in that it doesn't have the traditional, see, it's a 4-panel. Doesn't have the traditional CD holders like we see with the other ones. You see how the CDs were like an old jewel case. Here, they're more like the more modern ones where the discs are contained inside, underneath, inside here. And then when we think about the booklet, again, original artwork, very cool. And this time we do get a lot of written material. Not as much as 2112 or AFarewellToKings, but still, I think that was about 8 pages worth. And here we do get original artwork for each song. So this is Tom Sawyer with the iconic picket fence. Red Barchetta, YYZ, you know, they famously came up with the intro by listening to the Morse code for YYZ while they were on an airplane, so this artwork makes sense. Limelight, Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, and Vital Signs. But it's interesting, there's original artwork for each one, but they didn't include the lyrics. So it's really been hit or miss in terms of what you're going to get with these booklets, and I feel like, you know, if you're going to do a 40th anniversary and you're going to charge a bit of a premium for these, that they should all have all of it. They should all have lots of written material. They should all have original artwork for each song, and they should all have the lyrics. And I don't understand why they couldn't have done that for each one of these instead of it being, sometimes you got 2 of those things. All right, so you can see that in terms of packaging, it's sort of a mixed bag on these 40th anniversary box sets. You're going to see I'm pretty much going to give every one of them a grade of 60. Primary content, 80. I feel like that should be 100. 2112, my grade for it is in the 90s, so it should probably be more like 100 than an 80. I mean, it's 2112. What you can't go wrong. The bonus content here is a little weird. It's got 2 discs. One is a DVD that is that same show from Capitol Theater in New Jersey that is the black and white show, about 40 minutes long, from the 2112 tour. So it's the same one that showed up on the bonus content for the R40 box set. If you can't afford the R40 box set or don't want it, this is a good alternative because now you can get that 40-minute live DVD of the show from then. In addition to that, you get 5 cover songs by other bands covering Rush. You get a cover by Dave Grohl, a cover by Steven Wilson, and a cover by Alice in Chains, and then 2 others who I can't remember. I'm not a fan of any of these. They're all rather kind of disappointing. I was excited to see a Steven Wilson cover of Rush, but he does Twilight Zone, and it's good. It's not great. So I kind of wish they had used this opportunity. I'm sure, I say I'm sure, maybe they just don't exist, but I feel like there has to be some live recordings from that era of songs that have not been heard again. I know they used to play Necromancer live pretty regularly. I'd love to hear a live version of Necromancer. So I don't know what is in the vaults that might have been that isn't available, but it's not bad, the bonus content, but it's also not outstanding. All right, so 67 overall. Let's go to A Farewell to Kings, which I give a 70. Same packaging. The primary content is Farewell to Kings, so I guess I'm giving these all primary contents 80s. The bonus content is, okay, so it's 2 discs and it's all audio, and what you get here is the complete live show from Hammersmith Odeon on the A Farewell to Kings tour. And this is an outstanding live release. It's an entire show from beginning to end. It's almost 2 hours long. You get the complete drum solo. You get a really good, impressive medley. Now, this had about 2/3 of this show had previously been released as a 3rd additional disc on the Different Stages live release. So it's only about 40 minutes of new content. But for me, having that entire show, in my opinion, it's the second best live show that is available in the entire Rush catalog in terms of audio and set list and everything. So the set list is banging from beginning to end because, I mean, they're on the Farewell to Kings tour, so you get a lot of Farewell to Kings, you get a lot of 2112, you get some of the older songs like Working Man and Bastille Day and Anthem. So it's a tremendous set list. The sound is really, really good. I like this live show a lot. There is no bonus content. I take that back. There is additionally, again, 5 covers by other bands. 4 of the bands I do not know and don't recall. There is, however, a cover of Xanadu by Dream Theater. This is a very earnest cover. It holds true to the original song. Almost too much, in my opinion. But if you like Dream Theater does a lot of covers, and they do a lot of Rush covers, but this is one of the very best. So between the entire live show from Hammersmith and these cover songs, that's your bonus content there. Moving on, we get Hemispheres, not Hemispheres, as I noted there. And this has a lower grade. Let's look at why. The packaging is the same. Primary content, again, we talk about 80s. The bonus content here is really weak. It's only 1 disc. It's not 2 discs like 2112 and A Farewell to Kings had been. And mostly what you're getting here is a live show from the Pink Pop Festival during the Hemispheres tour. This was originally a radio broadcast. It's been widely bootlegged. They didn't record all of 2112 from Pink Pop, so you don't get 2112 from Pink Pop. You get it from a different show recorded in Arizona. Can we not get a whole show from the Hemispheres tour so that we can hear Cygnus X1 and Hemispheres together as one presentation, which is what they did on that tour? That's what I want. Surely somewhere there is a recording that has that, because we don't have a live recording of Hemispheres yet. I mean, it's one of their biggest, most notable, epic 20-minute pieces, and we don't have a live version of it anywhere. If they had a recording of 2112 from the Tucson show in Arizona, do they not have all the other songs recorded from that show? I just feel like there was a missed opportunity, and surely we've got a live version of Hemisphere somewhere. Now, we're going to find out they do, but I was disappointed with this release when it came out because the bonus content was so meager. Yeah, you do get about an hour worth of live material, but we've got multiple versions of the abbreviated version of 2112 already. I don't think there's a single song on the Hemispheres bonus disc that didn't already have that we didn't already have live releases of. So it's disappointing from that perspective. PermanentWaves gets a higher grade. It's also only a single disc. However, the live music on this is more unique. Specifically, we get the live version of Hemispheres that I was just talking about. It's not a complete version of Hemispheres. It's only 15 minutes, so just like they used to do with 2112 in the old days, they leave out a small portion of the song, and I don't understand why. And we don't have it teamed with Cygnus X1 so that you get the entire Hemisphere suite as a single musical piece, which is really what I wanted. But the 80 minutes of live music on here is better than the live music we had from A Farewell to Kings, in my opinion. And I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, finally we have Moving Pictures. Oh, sorry, there's my grades for Hemispheres. Moving Pictures, which I give a 73. The bonus content here is the entirety of the Montreal show that made up the 3/4 of the Exit Stage Left live release. However, it sounds significantly better than the original Exit Stage Left. The remastering here has done its job. And because it's the entire show, you don't have the fade-ins and fade-outs that, in my opinion, detract from a live document, making it doesn't sound like a concert when you do that. This doesn't have that. The set list is impeccable. It's the Moving Pictures tour. You get every Moving Pictures, you get every song from Moving Pictures other than Witch Hunt. Most importantly, you get a complete version of the Camera Eye, which was never played again by the band until much later when Geddy couldn't sing anymore. So for me, that was one of the key things, was to get a live version of Camera Eye. In my opinion, this is the best live document that exists of the band. It's them at the height of their career. It's an entire show. It's 2 hours long. You get the Neil Peart medley. You get the Neil Peart drum solo. You get the medley. It's the show that I was at when for the first time in my life, I got really close to the stage and could really feel what a rock band could accomplish. And I was like, what was this? This is 81, so I was 15 years old. I didn't appreciate what I was witnessing. I knew that I liked Rush and this was cool, and I'd never been close to a band, and wow, this was super cool. But I didn't really appreciate the fact that these were three of the most unique musicians in the history of all music, and that they were playing at the peak of their powers, and that the set list and everything they were doing is them at their very best. I didn't know that when I was watching it. So maybe the fact that show has such a strong impression and memory for me makes this more attractive to me than it might be other people. But the best live document in the entire Rush catalog, in my opinion. That's the extent of the bonus. Would have been nice if we could have gotten a complete video document. We have video from that same Montreal show. That's what makes up the Exit Stage Left DVD release. Do they not have video of all the other songs? Could they not compiled all that and given us an entire concert? Because that would have been spectacular. That would have been awesome. That would have made this 100 in terms of bonus content. Maybe it doesn't exist and so you can't get it. I don't know. So overall, that is it. We looked at 4 compilations, we looked at 4 DVD box sets, and we looked at 5 40th anniversary CD sets, and these are my scores. If you made it through all the way here, I hope you will hit the like button and maybe subscribe and hit the notification so you know the next time I'm talking about whatever it is I'm talking about. Thank you guys, I'm out.